Sometimes to really get a grip on the huge economic shifts happening all around us, you just need to look at a single day's news. And on Friday, September 26th, the headlines basically gave us a perfect snapshot of a world being reshaped by tech, by corporate strategy, and by politics. All of it supercharged by one single, incredibly powerful force. Okay, let's dive right in.
So the day kicked off with a number that is, well, it's just mind-boggling. $400 billion. That's the new price tag for the Stargate project from OpenAI, Oracle, and SoftBank. We're talking about an AI infrastructure plan on a scale that's almost impossible to imagine. This isn't just an investment, it's them redrawing the map for the entire tech landscape.
But on that exact same day, another massive number popped up. And this one's about people. 550,000. That's how many employees the consulting giant Accenture has already retrained in generative AI. It's a staggering number that really shows you the human side of this whole transformation. An entire workforce just trying to keep up.
And right there, that's the heart of it. You've got these two numbers, one about capital, the other about people, and they perfectly capture the two sides of the AI coin. This is creative destruction, and it's not happening over decades. We're watching it unfold in a single news cycle. Unbelievable creation and massive disruption all at the same time. All right, so first up, let's look at that creation side of things, what we're calling the AI gold rush. I mean, the numbers here are moving so fast and at such a scale, it's honestly breathtaking.
To really get the scale of this new AI empire, just look at the players. You have Anthropic, whose new valuation makes up a massive 45% chunk of the financial news we saw. Then there's OpenAI, with revenue projections that account for another 31%. And holding a lot of it up is NVIDIA, whose direct investment in data centers is the final 24%. These aren't just companies anymore. They're becoming economic forces of nature. And if you think the numbers today are big, think again. OpenAI CEO Sam Altman is already talking about spending in the trillions. This quote just shows you that for the guys leading this race, the current spending is just a warm-up. They're trying to build the literal foundation for the next 100 years. But hey, this gold rush isn't just about building these enormous abstract data centers. It's already filtering down into the real world. On that same day, reports came out that AI chatbots are now successfully solving up to 65% of customer service issues without any human help. So yeah, the big ambition of AI is very quickly becoming a very concrete business reality. So, you've got these AI giants spending trillions. What does that mean for everyone else? How is the rest of the corporate world supposed to react? Well, the news from September 26th was pretty clear. You either adapt or you risk disappearing. There really is no middle ground anymore. And this brings us right back to the people side of this whole thing, which Accenture CEO put in some pretty blunt terms. The pressure to change is so intense and so fast that companies are making these brutal, unsentimental calls about the workforce. The message is clear. If you can't be reskilled for the AI era, you're out.
In response, it looks like companies are trying one of three main plays to survive. Some are trying to get bigger to compete, like the rumored $50 billion deal to take the gaming giant EA private, which would be the biggest buyout of its kind in history. Others are trying to save beloved brands like the retailer Claire's, and some are just cutting their losses, like Spirit Airlines, which announced it was stopping service on 40 routes while it fights through bankruptcy.
And that Claire's situation is a really fascinating case study. It's this huge bet on nostalgia. The new owners looked at the company and saw a broken business. Too much debt, operations were a mess. But they didn't see a broken brand. They're betting that the magic of Claire's, that memory of getting your ears pierced there, is still strong enough to save the whole thing. It's a real test of whether a brand's power can outlive its business model. Now, of course, all of this whole economic drama, it's not happening in a bubble. The government is playing a much more active role in shaping this new economy. It's acting like both a referee and a player, trying to manage all this disruption we're talking about. On that same day, September 26th, the Trump administration announced a new wave of tariffs. We're talking a massive 100% on branded drugs, plus 25% on heavy trucks, and 30% on furniture. This is a direct intervention, an attempt to build a kind of protective wall around American industries that are feeling the heat from this fast-changing global economy. But here's the interesting thing. While one part of the government is trying to protect old industries, another is trying to attract the fuel for the new ones. Which leads to a pretty provocative question.
$1 million. That's the new discounted price for the Gold Card Visa program. It's designed to give wealthy people U.S. residency in record time.
It's a really clear strategy to attract the global money and talent needed to fund the next OpenAI, right here in America.
Government action isn't always about dollars and cents, though. Sometimes it's about priorities. On the same day, it came out that over a dozen pages had been taken down from the CDC's website after a directive. The pages that were removed covered things like STIs and gay men, health equity for people with disabilities, and fact sheets on asexuality and bisexuality. It just reflects a very clear shift in administrative focus.
And believe me, that wasn't all. In the background, you had all these other political and economic tensions bubbling up. There was a fight that went all the way to the Supreme Court over whether the president can fire a Federal Reserve governor. And the backlog for a key student loan forgiveness program grew to almost 75,000 people. All of these stories just show a government that's deeply involved in an economy that's under a lot of stress.
So you've got this AI explosion. You have companies in survival mode, and you have the government throwing its weight around. The big question is, how did Wall Street, the ultimate scoreboard, react to all these conflicting signals?
Well, the most important piece of news for the markets that day was the inflation number. And honestly, it was kind of boring in a good way. The Fed's favorite measure, core PCE, came in at 2.9%, which was exactly what everyone expected. That calmed a lot of nerves and kept the hope for future interest rate cuts alive.
But even with a nice little rally on Friday, it just wasn't enough to save the week. The S&P 500 snapped its 3-week winning streak, and all the major indexes ended up in the red. It really suggests that despite all the AI hype, there was this deep sense of uncertainty just under the surface.
And if you look at the other indicators, you can really see where investors' heads were at. The US dollar got stronger for the second week in a row. Gold prices went up. Oil prices climbed because of geopolitical risks. These are all classic signs of a market looking for safety, what they call a flight to safety when there's a lot of uncertainty in the air.
So let's just step back for a second. When you piece everything together from this one single day, September 26th, what's the big picture? What it showed us was a world in a deep, profound transition. A world where AI is building new empires practically overnight, where older companies are in a desperate fight for survival, and where governments are stepping in with immense power to try and steer the ship.
And all of this leaves us with one massive, lingering question. This AI revolution is creating wealth and rewriting the rules of the economy at a speed we've never seen before. We're watching it happen. But are we prepared for the kind of society that it's creating in the process? That's the question that was really hanging in the air at the end of this one pretty extraordinary day.